All right, good evening. Looks like we are good to go on Facebook and on YouTube. If you are with us in the meeting, why don't you go ahead and put your name in the chat or the comments if you're on Facebook, and let us know that you're here. We're going to wait a couple of minutes to get started, make sure everybody gets a chance to join the meeting before we dig into what we're going to talk about tonight. Great. See people checking in on both Facebook and YouTube. That's good. I know the last time we tried to do one of these meetings, we had some problems with the comments on, I believe it was on YouTube. So glad that that is working. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Derek Doyle, and I'm the Director of Bands here at Chisholm Trail High School. I've been blessed to be here at Chisholm Trail since the school opened in 2012. I was an assistant band director here for 6 years, and I've spent the last 3 years as the head band director. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you guys our assistant directors, Miss Emily Rivers and Mr. Ryan Miller. Miss Rivers, why don't you tell us more about yourself?
Sure. I am Mrs. Rivers. I am the assistant band director at Chisholm Trail High School. I do the symphonic band as well as the jazz band. I'm a clarinet player, and this is my second year at Chisholm Trail. This is my 4th year teaching and my 2nd year at CT. Mr. Miller?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Miller. I'm going into my 7th year of teaching, my 2nd year at Chisholm Trail. I do all things percussion. I'm lucky enough to get down to see everyone at Marine Creek and Wilkie every day. So I do all things percussion. I think you might be muted, Mr. Doyle.
Hey, it's 2021 and we're still forgetting to unmute ourselves. So first things first, let's ask, what do we mean when we say the Ranger Regiment? Well, first of all, the Ranger Regiment is the name of our marching band, but also it can be used to talk about the entire program, the entire band program here at Chisholm Trail High School, including all of our concert bands, our jazz band, percussion program, color guard, and all of the many things that we do here at Chisholm Trail High School. So when we say Ranger Regiment, depending on context, we may be talking about marching band, or we may be talking about the entire band program here. So what we're going to do is we have a slide presentation that we're going to go through. We're going to talk through several different things. If you have a question, you just throw it in the comments. We'll probably save most of those questions for the end, but feel free to just put those comments in, or put those questions in the comments as you think about them, and then we'll try to answer as many of those questions as we possibly can tonight during the meeting. It is possible that you may be able to ask a question that we don't right now have an answer for, but we will try to get you that answer as soon as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and shift over here to our slideshow. Ranger Regiment 101, or everything you wanted to know about high school band but were afraid to ask. Your directors, myself, Miss Rivers, Mr. Miller, and also Molly Owen, who's not with us tonight, but she is our color guard director. Miss Owen has been here at Chisholm Trail the entire time the school has been open, like myself, and she and I have been actually teaching together for the last 15 years. She will take wonderful care of your color guard student. So communication, this may be the most important slide of the evening, and this is basically how do I make sure that I get communication from the band. The first thing you want to do is sign up for our Ranger Regiment Remind Group. And that's this first one. You can take with your phone, and parents and students, we encourage you both to do this, to sign up with your phone, send a text message with the text at CT Regiment to the number 81010. That's going to add you to our Ranger Regiment Remind Group. That is a Remind Group that we use for big picture communications that need to go out to the entire program. We also just set up today a Remind Group specifically for new members to the Ranger Regiment this year. So if you are a new student or you're the parent of a new student, we want you to also join this group at RRNM, that's for Ranger Regiment New Members 21, and send that to the number 81010. And if you do that, you will get added to a group where, again, we will send out communications specific to new members here at Chisholm Trail High School, and you can get all the information that you need. Also, we do have a Facebook page, facebook.com/CT Ranger Regiment, or you can just go onto Facebook and search for Ranger Regiment or search CT Ranger Regiment. And you can see what we're up to. Facebook is also really great for pictures. You'll see a lot of pictures of students in different performance venues. We have some wonderful people who follow the band and take pictures at all of our performances, and they make sure that those get onto the Facebook page. So that's great for that purpose as well. We also have a Twitter account. Now, if you don't want to have a Twitter account, you don't have to, and you can still get the updates that we send out through Twitter. Now, we use Twitter differently than we do Remind. Twitter is usually more for public celebrations and things like that. If we're wanting to share pictures of a performance, we as directors, or we're wanting to, say congratulations to the band for getting a first division at such and such contest, we're going to share that out through Twitter because that's a public facing thing. But you don't need to have a Twitter account to follow Ranger Regiment and get those tweets. You can just text the words follow at Ranger Regiment to 40404. And we also have a Twitter account for the percussion and a Twitter account specific to Color Guard. And you can use the same process to sign up for those without having a Twitter account if that is your desire. We also have a CTHS band website on the school webpage, and there's the link for that. When we're done with this presentation, it'll probably be tomorrow. This whole presentation will be made into a PDF file and posted on our website. And also I'll make sure that gets a link to it gets sent out through your middle school band directors, so that you can have all these links here as well. And then we have a band booster website, cthsrangerregiment.org. We'll talk more about the band boosters, who they are, and what they do later in our presentation. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and throw those in the comments. So let's talk about concert band auditions. So concert band auditions. Now, some of this information, again, is subject to change, but because this year we only had 3 concert bands. You'll see that there's 4 on this slide. All of that is dependent on numbers, the number of students in the program. So several of the last 4 or 5 years, we've had 4 concert bands. This year we only had 3, but we would prefer to have 4. And these are the 4 bands that we have. The Wind Ensemble is the top band. Almost all students in that band are typically taking private lessons. Symphonic band is our second band. Students are encouraged to take lessons in all of the other 3 bands. Concert band is the 3rd band, and Concert Winds is the 4th band. Now, when we have 4 bands, typically the Wind Ensemble, Symphonic band, and Concert band are all going to be going to UIL Concert and Sight Reading Contest. All 4 bands, any of our bands, would be performing at our concerts that we hold here on our campus, the winter concert, spring concerts, etc. Eligibility, attendance, commitment, and what we expect from students during class, all of those are the same across all 4 of those ensembles. And your opportunities for growth, your opportunities for development as a musician are all the same in those ensembles. A lot of that is really dependent on how you are how you are taking that challenge that's presented to you in those classes. Now, you'll see at the bottom of this slide, auditions this year are going to be a mix of in-person and online. Students will receive more information soon from their middle school directors, but essentially, if your student is a remote student, they will have an online option to submit a video of themselves playing for their audition, and those auditions will be completed by May 21st. If your student is an in-person student, then we will hear them, if at all possible, we will hear them in their band class. So Ms. Rivers and I will be traveling to the middle schools and making sure that we hear those students that are in person, as much as is humanly possible, as much as our schedules will allow. And for those students who we cannot get to, we will provide that virtual option to those students as well. Drumline auditions. Mr. Miller, do you want to say more about the drumline auditions?
So the drumline auditions are coming up soon. We'll have 3 days. You can see them right there, April 29th, May 4th, May 6th. And if we do the May 13th one, it'll be individual stuff, but those are 5 to 6:30, and that's for all percussionists that are planning on being at Chisholm Trail next year. All they'll need to bring is a pair of sticks and a practice pad. And then we'll split those kids up into 2 different sections. We have the battery section, which is the group that marches on the field. And then we'll have the front ensemble, which is marimbas, vibraphones. It's a lot of the 4-mallet stuff. Everybody will have a part. It'll be good fun. And then there's my info right there at the bottom if you need to contact me.
Thank you. So I'm going to say just a little bit about Color Guard auditions. Color Guard auditions will be April 26th through the 29th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And again, this is contact information for Molly Owen there in the middle, mowen01 at ems-isd.net. I encourage you, if your child is interested in trying out for Color Guard, that you email Miss Owen and let her know that, and she'll be able to provide you more details about how to prepare for those auditions, what you would need to bring, etc. Let's talk about arena scheduling. We're getting into some just basically general high school things. If you haven't heard the term arena scheduling yet, arena scheduling is the process by which your child selects their course schedule for the school year down to the class period that they're going to take each course. Now, normally by this time of year, we already know when the arena scheduling is going to start. I actually traveled down to the counseling office today to ask them, when is this going to start for incoming freshmen? And they did not have an answer for me, but they think that it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. But when you do your arena scheduling, don't worry if the band class you see is not yet accurate, because it really won't be, because you will not have done auditions yet. So when you do your arena scheduling, just do the best you can with the rest of your schedule. And we, as the directors, we will work with the counselors to make sure you get placed in the correct concert band class after those auditions are done. Again, if you have any questions about this stuff while we're going, and you want to go ahead and just throw those questions in the comments section, and we will get to those later. Just put them in there now so we don't forget. All right, so let's talk about band registration and band fees. Okay, band registration will be partially online for the upcoming school year. Last year, we did all of our registration online because we were all still at home. But there are 2 parts to your online registration. One of them is specifically for the band boosters, and then one of them is for the band specifically. So the first is going to be online form set up by the Band Boosters organization. This is where you're going to give your contact information and begin the process of ordering merchandise and paying band fees. Second will be rank 1 registration. All students have to fill out required permission slips through the school district, such as a contract, a UIL 8-hour rule acknowledgement, a drug testing consent form, etc. And this is also where you will get the required medical history form and pre-participation physical form that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now, the good news is the band booster registration form, the first step of this is actually online right now. And the link is right there, and we'll put out that link through Twitter, Facebook, Remind, etc. Please complete that online registration as soon as possible, and that lets us know that you are planning on, that you or your child is planning on being a part of the Ranger Regiment in 2021. That way we can know if we need to contact you or we have any questions for you, we can do that as soon as possible. We'll send instructions for rank 1 sign up through Twitter, Facebook, Remind, and email once we've been notified that it's available. Those forms are handled by an outside company, and we don't have access to make those available. So once we find out that they are available, we will let you know, okay, it's time for you to go in and sign up on the Rank 1 site. So physicals for band members. This rule was passed a couple of years ago by the UIL that governs all interscholastic competition in the state of Texas. All students participating in marching band are required to obtain a physical exam, just like the physical exams have been required of our student athletes for years. If your student is in band and athletics, they only have to get a physical once, but will need to make a copy of the form and submit to both band directors and athletic trainers. Now, both the athletic trainers and us, we both use the Rank 1 system, but unfortunately, there are two separate systems. There's a Rank 1 fine arts system, there's a Rank 1 athletics system, and those two systems don't talk to each other. And that's why, let's say your student is playing freshman football and they're in band. Your student will need to make a copy of that and make sure that it gets to both, that a copy gets to both places, both your band directors and the athletic trainers. Now, if your student got a physical last year, so for example, if your student was in band or was in athletics last year, and we'll clarify this, but we're pretty sure that this rule is still in effect, that if your student got a physical last year, they don't need a physical this year, that physical should be good for 2 years. But as we mentioned earlier, the required medical history form and the pre-participation physical form will be available through Rank 1, and we'll let you know when those forms are ready. Regardless of whether you need a new physical, everybody has to fill out the medical history form every year. So that will need to be submitted regardless. Okay, band fees. Now, this is the slide where people start to have sticker shock, and I completely understand it. So we're going to talk about this. Let's see if I can get that to look a little, yeah. So you can see the slide a little bit better. So you can look right there in the middle what this total is, and this total is for new members. Okay, this total is for new members, and I'm going to explain a little bit about why that's different for a new member than it is for other members. So band fees includes meals. We feed the kids every time that we're here for a day. We're feeding the kids. So in summer band, for example, we have 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. rehearsal days. We're outside. The kids are working hard outside in the August sun, or this year a little bit of the July sun and August sun. And then we eat lunch, and then we practice inside for the afternoon. Anytime we have a football game, we're going to feed the kids. When we have a marching contest, we're going to feed the kids. A lot of the times we're going to feed them twice. So we're feeding them pretty much anytime we're together for more than just a couple of hours, they're getting fed. The band fees also includes a show shirt, a luggage tag. It includes some extra instruction. So obviously my salary and Ms. Rivers' salary and Mr. Miller's salary, all those salaries are paid for by the school district. But we also bring in additional instruction to help. The marching band is quite large, and 3 people are not sufficient to provide everyone with the kind of experience that we think that they need to have in order to be successful in what we do. So we do bring in some outside people, and your band fees help to provide that as well. Transportation. If you've been up to Chisholm Trail High School in the last couple of years, you've seen our beautiful trailer. You've seen actually probably 2 trailers, our old trailer and our beautiful new trailer that our band boosters bought 3 years ago. And we had wrapped about 2 years ago. Well, that trailer goes with us anytime we go somewhere, away football game, marching contest, etc. The indoor drum line is used at the last 2 weekends to go to indoor shows here in our school district. And every time that goes somewhere, we have to rent a tractor to pull that from place to place. And that transportation, those transportation costs and fuel add up. Your band fees also pay for entry fees to contests. When we go to a marching contest, there's an entry fee, and entry fees are paid for by the band fees. It also goes to show design. So when we do a marching band show every year, those shows are written specifically for our group. No one else has played it. No one else has played that music. No one else has marched that drill. The entire concept is created for our group, for your kids, and specifically designed to be the best product for them. And that show design costs money, and it's paid for by band fees. Now, this year, you're also going to get 10 Ranger Regiment discount cards along with those band fees. Those discount cards are typically $10 each. You're going to get 10 of those. You can keep those. You can give those away. You can sell those for $10 and make sure that you recoup some of that money that you're spending on the band fees. The other part of this is new student purchases, and you can see there that new student purchases is $210. Those are things that you should only have to buy once. For example, marching band shoes. So if your child gets new marching shoes at the beginning of their freshman year, unless they have a big growth spurt and they outgrow the shoes, they're going to be able to keep those shoes. They're going to get compression gear that goes with the uniform. These are items that all the students are required to wear as part of their uniform: a compression shirt, compression shorts, and there's also a duffel bag that all the students get with their name on it, so that when we go to a marching contest and we're changing in and out of uniform, all the students have something with their name on it that they put that stuff in. And you wouldn't believe how much hassle that, well, you parents probably would believe how much hassle that helps us prevent. There is a water bottle holder, water jug holder that with the student's name on it, so that the students don't misplace their water jug or somebody else accidentally picks up their jug because it's got their name on it. So there's a lot of new student purchases that are one-time things that you shouldn't have to buy again in that first year total. Now, payment plans start this spring. You can set up a payment plan through November. There is a minimum deposit of $150 due when you register. A $25 discount will be credited to any account paid in full by May 22nd. And a $25 per child discount will be credited to any family with multiple band students. Okay, we're going to move on. Again, if you have questions about this, please feel free to throw those in the comments, and we will get to them a little bit later. So what does a year of band cost? We'll talk a little bit more specifically about why we have band fees. Food, and this is based on last year's, or actually 2 years ago's numbers, $44,000 to feed the band. Okay, like I said, we feed the band: summer band, football games, marching contest. Contest fees, $3,000. Equipment, truck, and trailer updates, $8,000. Color guard specialist salary, $15,000. Color guard tech, $4,000. Summer band sectional instruction. When we do summer band, we bring in specialists on each instrument to work with the students in the afternoons. We split up into smaller groups, and they get sectional instruction from qualified professional teachers that we bring out on each instrument, and that runs us about $2,400 a year. Marching band tech payments, like I said, we do bring in additional people that are usually college music majors, sometimes recent college grads that are helping us teach your students. And that costs about $12,000 through the summer band and fall season. Marching band show design, from the concept to the music to the drill, is about $20,000. And then marching band visual elements. I don't know how many of you, if you saw our show from 2 years ago, the Bird's Eye View show, we had these very large benches that, when turned a certain way, made a large bird's nest. Those are what we're talking about when we're talking about visual elements. The props, guard flags, the front drops at the front of the field that help frame the field and at times hide color guard transitions or hide other marching members as well. More parts of what does your band cost. Show shirts for the whole band is about $2,200. Luggage tags about $600. Private lesson scholarships about $5,000, and student leadership camp is about $3,000. That's a total of $134,000 with 180 students in the program, which is roughly where we're at right now. Without any fundraising, that'd be about $745 per student, plus individual items that all new members need. So that's about $220 more than what we're asking. So that's why we fundraise. So to keep fees as low as possible, our goal this year is to fundraise $50,000. With a year of successful fundraising, we'll be able to fund the band's needs for this year and keep fees low in future years. This is why we ask for participation in the fundraising efforts that we do. So voluntary summer work. This is things that we do that is not required, but these are things that we do that are meant to help your student just be able to be around other high school band members and get used to what it is that we do at the high school band level. We do a couple of things. Fitness camps, these are voluntary workouts that we hold here at Chisholm Trail during the summer. We have not set a schedule yet for those. Some of that is just not knowing what, if any, district requirements or restrictions or any of that might be for this year. I don't think the district is there yet in terms of thinking about summer things like that. Sectionals. For the past 2 years, we've waited until July to start any music sectionals, and we will probably do the same thing this year as well, but we'll be sending out that information via Twitter, Remind, Facebook, and email. But sectionals is basically one time a week. We'll have, okay, trombones on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can come up here and we'll practice just trombones together for an hour. And it's just a great opportunity to play with other musicians over the summer and work on some of the music that we'll be playing in our show. Percussion camps. Mr. Miller, you want to talk about the percussion camps?
Of course. So we have 2 separate percussion camps for the percussion section. It just gives us a little bit of a head start. So when the band shows up, we're rocking and rolling. We have a mini camp right at the beginning of summer, June 1st to 4th. That's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then we have a full percussion camp the week before band camp starts, which is July 19th to the 23rd. And we'll go 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with a lunch in there in the middle. And that is required for all percussion students.
And once again, as Mr. Miller said, if we have them for a whole day, we are going to feed them. All right. Guard camp. So this is not a developmental camp. This is for CTHS color guard members only. Guard mini camp is right before school lets out, May 24th through May 27th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And the full guard camp, July 19th through 22nd. And that's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And again, that full guard camp will be, there will be a lunch provided on those days. Let's talk about summer band camp. This is where we start getting into our required summer work. Now, why is it required? Well, it takes a lot of time to learn the music and the drill required to put on a quality marching band show. And we have our first performances typically within 2 weeks of the first day of school. So there is no way for any band in the state of Texas to be prepared to put on a show without doing summer band. You'll find anywhere you go in the state of Texas, people are going to be doing summer band around this same time, especially at a 6A high school like we have here at Chisholm Trail. So we are starting our summer band camp this year on Monday, July 26th. And you'll see those first 2 bullets there are the first 2 weeks. Those are both full weeks. That's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay. But both of those first 2 really have typos, I guess you would say, because it should say 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and not just 8 to 5 p.m., which sounds like we're rehearsing for 21 hours. But no, those are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. days. We'll be serving lunch. The students will be outside all morning. Um, you know, that's why we have water jugs, and we encourage sunscreen and hats and sunglasses and proper nutrition so that students can be healthy through that time. Now, Saturday, August 7th, we started doing this 2 years ago, and I think it was very popular. Once we had done it, we did a picture day, and that is basically an opportunity for us to get all the students into uniform and do pictures of the entire group and pictures of sections. And that was very popular when we started doing that 2 years ago. The logistics run-throughs basically means we're going to talk about what do we do on game days, how do we do what we do, so that when we do our first football game, it's not the first time we've gone to the stadium. It's not the first time we've sat in the stands and figured out where we sit, all of those things. The last week of summer band that starts Monday, August 9th, that's a week before school starts. These are all evening rehearsals only. That's 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's 4 days of those, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is a shorter rehearsal followed by parent night. Now, parent night is basically our first chance to show you, the parents, our show, to show you what we have been working on during summer band. We are going to play play and march however much of our show we know at that point. And we're also going to ask you to participate in learning some of the things that your student has been learning as well. The summer band camp is required for all of our members because, again, this is when we start learning the drill. And if your child intends to be in that show, they definitely have to be there. One other thing I will say is this first week, starts the Monday, July 26th through Friday, July 30th. That whole week is spent learning marching fundamentals. That Friday, we will probably do our auditions for spots in the marching show. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Right now, actually. So varsity versus shadows. First thing I want to say is everyone is a participating member of the Ranger Regiment, okay? Regardless of whether you have a spot in the competition show or not, everyone is a member of the Ranger Regiment. Sometimes I'll get questions in the summer about when will I know if I made the band? Well, you made the band. When you do your concert band auditions in the spring, that's not to see if you made the band. That's to see which concert band you're in. That's it. So if you're going to sign up for band and you're going to show up when we do summer band, you're in the band, and you're going to go with us to football games, and you're going to travel with us wherever we go. You may not be in the competition show, but that's a little different. So everyone will learn basic marching and drill fundamentals. Everyone's going to participate in the stands at all football games and at pep rallies. The varsity group competes at marching contests and performs at all halftime performances for football games. That's the show, the competition show. That's if you get a spot, if you're a varsity member, then you're in that show. Varsity spots are limited and open to audition only during the first few days of summer band, as I just mentioned. Shadows may participate in some halftime performances, and some members may be utilized for props, equipment help, or any other position within the varsity group deemed necessary for that season. And we don't always know what those spots are going to be until later in the year. Another example, 2 years ago, we had those big nests that turned into benches. We had to have people move those. That was their spot for the show. They moved those props. And that was their spot, and they were a huge part of that show, without which we could not have done the show that we did. So we will be, we'll be taking those things into consideration when we decide how many people are going to be marching and how many people are doing these kind of things. Participation and attendance will also factor into selecting individuals to participate with the varsity group. So if you want a spot in the show, you got to be there. You got to be in rehearsal. You got to be there all the time and doing what you can to make a spot. Shadows may be assigned a separate rehearsal schedule based on the responsibilities they are assigned. So in some marching shows, it may be that, for example, like 2 years ago, the props that were moving, those big bench props, they, sometimes we actually had a separate rehearsal for them. Now, with our schedule being what it was then, we didn't actually have to have a separate rehearsal schedule, but we had a separate rehearsal. We would send them to the stadium, and Miss Rivers would go and work with them while the rest of the band was working on the grid, and then we would put them back together. So, but sometimes they may have a separate rehearsal schedule. We may say, we don't need you on such and such morning, but we need you on this day instead. Eligibility, attendance, preparation, etc., can also affect varsity status, and even after a spot has been awarded. So let's say your child is awarded a varsity spot on that July 30th when we do the auditions, but then your child stops coming to rehearsals or stops showing up to rehearsals on time. That person, your child, may get replaced by someone else who shows up to all the rehearsals. And that is just that's just a matter of practicality. We need to have people that are going to be there when it's time to perform and are prepared to do so by having been at all the rehearsals. So let's talk about football games. These are probably some of the funnest things that we do. Usually our students, this is one of their favorite things to do of the entire year. They're held every Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, every week during September, October, and the first couple of weeks in November. We don't know our full schedule yet. I was communicating with our football coach this last week about this. We don't know our full schedule yet. The only thing I know that we're reasonably sure about is when our bye week is, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. Last year, our last couple of years, not last year was an aberration. Last year, our last game was in December, and that's not normal. But in a normal year, our last game of the year is around the first weekend of November. But you can expect to have a football game virtually every week from the end of August or beginning of September, around there through the first week of November. This required attendance for all CTHS band members. Okay, our primary focus is two things: to provide support for our football team and entertainment for our fans. We are there to support our team, but also we are part of what people are coming to the game to see, and we expect our students to take that seriously and think about their responsibility to play well and to take that seriously for the fans that are there to see them. We will be involved during all 4 quarters of the game. So we're going to play during all 4 quarters, and we will either march at halftime or sometimes at postgame, depending on what other things may be happening on that game. And when we have a football game, this also applies to marching contests, all students are dismissed together from the band hall after everything is unloaded. And I know for new parents, this can be a frustrating thing. I know, because you see the band and they all go inside the band hall after the game, and then you're waiting out in your car, and you're waiting in your car, and you're not sure, and you don't see them, and so you're asking yourself, what could possibly be taking so long? So, I mean, I'll tell you what takes so long is that we go inside. Every student has to get changed out of their uniform, hang up the uniform properly so that it can be worn the next time and still look good, and put away all equipment and make sure that we didn't leave things lying around everywhere. We got to leave the facilities better than we found them. And that's what takes so long. And then we're all dismissed together. And when they're dismissed together, you'll know it, because they'll all come pouring out of the band hall and come straight to your vehicles. Except that they won't, because they'll be talking to their friends, and you'll have to gather them up and make them come to your car. But that's why it takes so long, just so we know. Marching contests. So let's talk about marching contests. So marching contests are typically late September through early November as well. That's marching contest season. Typically, we won't have a marching contest until the last weekend of September, and that should be true for this coming season. Attendance, again, is required for all CTHS band members. Parents are encouraged to attend all contest performances and to cheer on all bands. Every band in the state of Texas works hard, every single one. You can't go outside in July and August in the state of Texas without working hard. And our kids go out for 4 hours a day for about 3 weeks outside in the July and August sun and work really hard. And so when we see other bands at performances, we ask you to cheer them on as well and appreciate the work that they put into their shows, just like we appreciate the work that our students are putting into ours. So the following is our tentative schedule of marching contests for this year. It is April, and so this could possibly change. But right now, I would say which contests we go to might change. I doubt very seriously that the schedule itself would change. Our first contest is scheduled to be September 25th, and that's going to be at Saginaw High School. So you won't have to travel far to see your child perform. This is a prelims finals contest, which means that there's a preliminary competition throughout the day, and then they choose usually around 10 finalist bands to perform that evening. The top 10 bands will perform again that evening. So it's possible we could be there pretty much all day. October 2nd, we have no contest scheduled. This is our football bye week. And so I wanted to, it worked out really well for us to have a bye week in our contest schedule as well. There is no contest scheduled for the weekend of October 2nd. It's a football bye week. It is also an SAT test date. Now, that may not matter as much to those of us who are incoming freshmen, but I know some of you have students or friends or whatever who are older, juniors, seniors, etc. And so that gives them an opportunity to take the SAT during the month of October. October 9th is the U.S. Bands Contest at Burleson High School. October 12th, UIL Region 30 Marching Contest. This is a big one. That's also going to be at Saginaw High School, at least tentatively. October 16th, we will be returning to Birdville for the Birdville Marching Festival at Birdville High School. And then this is what we call a state year. It's a state year for all UIL classifications this year for the first time ever. Our area marching contest is tentatively scheduled for October 23rd. And again, we don't know where that is happening yet, but that is, if we make a first division at UIL Region 30 marching contest, then we will be going to the area marching contest about a week and a half later. Again, all of that is scheduled is subject to some change, but I feel pretty strongly that these weekends will be the ones we will be going to marching contests, whether or not the contest itself actually changes. Eligibility, most of you guys are probably familiar with this already. I'm not going to read every word of this, but it basically means no pass, no play applies to marching band. No pass, no play applies to any competitive activity all year long. That includes marching band, all region auditions, solo and ensemble contests, winter guard, winter drumline, anything that is a competition, it's going to apply to. What it does not apply to, no pass, no play, does not affect eligibility for our winter concert or our spring concert that we hold here at Chisholm Trail High School. And it also no longer applies to UIL region concert and sight reading contests. This is seen as an assessment, not a competition, because we're not competing directly with other bands. Now, everyone who passed the previous grade is eligible until the end of the first 6 weeks. So if you graduated from middle school to high school, you're eligible until the end of the first 6 weeks regardless. But students must pass all their classes the first 6 weeks in order to participate with a marching band at contests in the month of October. So that first 6 weeks grading period is really, really important to get off on the right foot. Attendance. Good attendance is necessary for the band to be successful. Rehearsals start at the indicated time, and students need to be ready to play at that time. So if rehearsal starts at 7 a.m., that means that they can't be getting dropped off at the band hall at 7 a.m. because they've got to get equipment out and get to the grid and all of that. So they need to be dropped off in enough time to be ready to play at the time rehearsal starts. If you have an absence that you know about ahead of time, please communicate that to the band directors at least 24 hours in advance when possible. It helps us to be able to plan what we're going to do in rehearsal if we know people are not going to be there. These are examples of an excused absence. I can let you read that. Essentially, the things that you would get an excused absence for school are the same thing that you would get an excused absence for a band rehearsal, and vice versa. If an unexcused absence for school would be an unexcused absence for band rehearsal as well. Please plan ahead for appointments, dental work, SAT, ACT, etc. If you're taking the ACT, avoid the October 23rd test date this year. We talked about the SAT in October 2nd, but if you're going to take the ACT, try and avoid that October 23rd test date. That's the same day as area marching contest. Okay, equipment, woodwinds and brass. For most instruments, it's best to have 2 instruments, one for marching, one for concert, if possible. So, for example, and maybe Ms. Rivers might want to say more about this, or maybe not. But if your child plays the clarinet, and they have, let's say they've upgraded to a wood clarinet, a wood body clarinet, while they're in middle school, that is not the instrument you're going to want to use outside in marching band, because there are too many changes of temperature, of humidity, etc., and that will not be good for your instrument. So usually you can find fairly cheaply a plastic horn that will get the job done for marching band and not lead to potential damage to your instrument. For all of these things, woodwind, brass, percussion, more details about equipment and recommended instruments is available in the CTHS Band Handbook. You can go to the CTHS Band website, and the handbook is there in PDF format, and there's a section on equipment, recommended instruments, etc. And again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact us, and we will help you out. Private lessons. I cannot recommend private lessons highly enough. This year's been tough for some of our students in that, and our lesson teachers, frankly, that we've not been able to have as much one-on-one private lessons, at least in person. A lot of our private lesson teachers have become really good at teaching lessons online, but it's a lot. It has its own challenges for sure. We are hopeful that we'll be able to do more face-to-face in-person lessons in the coming year, and I can't recommend that highly enough. You're going to get one-on-one expert instruction, and it provides the maximum opportunity for your child to grow. I always tell students the 2 things that they can do to get better at their instrument are, number 1, practice regularly, and number 2, take private lessons. If you do those 2 things, you're going to get the most out of your time on your instrument. They are available during the summer, typically. Again, that some of that this summer is going to be up to district decisions about those things with regard to the coronavirus, but we have not been told any of that information yet. And if you are interested in private lessons, but you have questions, let us know. Or if you don't know who teaches private lessons on your instrument, let us know. We can get you in contact with one of our lesson teachers here at CT. So let's talk about the Band Boosters. Who are they? What do they do? The Band Boosters is essentially just it's a parent organization that helps us to fulfill the band's mission of providing a great quality music education for every child in our program. So our fundraising goes through the Band Boosters. Our band fees go through the Band Boosters. We have booster officers and chairmen or chairpersons. We have meetings at least once a month to plan, to help, to brainstorm, to come up with better ideas for how to do things, how to support the band. Well, we could not do half of what we couldn't do a quarter of what we do in our band program without the Band Boosters. If you go and see the marching band and you see all the people that are helping move equipment on and off the field, those are Band Boosters. When you go to a football game and you see people sitting at a sales table and they're selling band shirts, you go to the band concession stand and buy a hot dog, those are Band Boosters, all of those people. And there's many different roles and many different ways to get involved. The primary way, if you want to get involved and you don't know how to get involved, you could talk to Melissa Stearman and she will get you involved. I can promise you that. But her email address is right here on the bottom right, CTRRBB, that stands for Chisholm Trail Ranger Regiment Band Boosters President @gmail.com, and she will help you. Any kind of person can get involved in the Band Boosters. Okay, any kind of person. You might be a person that likes talking to other people. You might be a person that does not like talking to other people. It doesn't matter. There are ways for you to get involved. If you're an introvert, or you don't like talking to people, but you like working with your hands, boy, do we have some jobs for you. We have a lot of people that help build props for the marching band every year. We have people that just help load equipment or help move equipment on and off the field. Not every job that the band boosters do involves going out and talking to a bunch of people. Most of them do not, in fact. But we will find a way to get you involved if your desire is to be involved in the band boosters and be involved with your child's band program. And I will say this about your kids. Your kids probably are going to say they don't want you around. They are lying to you. I say that, half in jest, but they really like you being around. They really like you being around and being there to be with them in these important moments of their lives. And the next 4 years are going to go extremely quickly, and you're gonna blink and they're going to be graduating. And this is a really good way for you to be around them, and be around their friends and know the kids that they're spending their time with as well. And it's a really, really valuable way for you to be involved. So you can see here some of our officers and committee chairs. Melissa Stearman is our current president. We are looking for a new president right now because Melissa Stearman's term will be ending. Vicki Merchant is our current vice president, and Crystal Velasquez will be taking over for her when this year is over. Veronica Salinas is our current secretary. Kristen Worthen's taking over for her. And you can see we have still some slots there that we are looking for to people to serve as committee chairs. That doesn't mean you're doing all the work. It just means you're helping coordinate it and make sure that the work gets done one way or another. All right. Now, do you have questions for us? I'm assuming the answer to that is yes, that you do have questions for us. Ms. Rivers, what questions do we have in the comments?
So we had, our first one is, will you be coming to Creekview for auditions? Because we mentioned going to Marine Creek, and Wilkie, will we be going to Creekview for those live auditions?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we will go wherever we need to go. Within reason. If you're transferring in from Massachusetts, I can't help you there. But if you're at Creekview or Marine Creek or Ed Wilkie, we will get to you. Great question.
Our next question that we got answered was, do you have dates for summer band? We had that slide, and we will be posting a PDF of this meeting. Oh, wait, actually, there was a question before that. Is this meeting being recorded? If yes, where will it be available?
The meeting should be available in the same places that you accessed it tonight. So YouTube automatically will make an archive recording of this, and it'll be available on our Ranger Regiment YouTube, and I believe Facebook Live does the exact same thing.
Okay, here's a kind of a uniform question. If a student unexpectedly outgrows their band shoes mid-year, can they be purchased mid-year? I talked to Mrs. Stearman. If she's in the comments, she can also provide more insight. I think if you have purchased your shoes and they've been worn, you can trade them in for a bigger size. That happened this last year. Boys especially, hit a growth spurt and their feet grew. And if you purchased your shoes, you can swap them out, or I think maybe even purchase more. I know that there are options. You don't have to go shoeless. You can either trade them in for a donated pair or buy more. I know that those are options.
Yeah, we definitely have some shoes that have been donated by seniors or other students who weren't coming back to band, and they've donated those, and so that is an option. Or we can try to buy you a new pair in the middle of the year. That option may take some time though.
Okay, this question came up when we were talking about different equipment. Can you repeat what you said about clarinet? And then somebody, Mrs. Hoffman, answered it in the chat right after, which I love. So it's recommended that for instruments, woodwind instruments or more delicate instruments, that you have an instrument that you play on the inside and an instrument you play on the outside. If you've got a clarinet that's wood, I'm going to talk about this because I play clarinet. If you've got an instrument that's wooden and you've spent a lot of money on it, you don't want your kid having that outside, putting it on the ground, exposed to the sun, that sort of thing. So if you can procure a plastic instrument they're cheaper, they're a little bit sturdier, they're easier to fix. Not only will that be better for the player, but it also will, one of the biggest benefits is that it will keep the more expensive one, the nicer one, the wooden one, it will make that one last longer because it's not exposed to the elements all the time. And you can play that one inside. Whenever it's time to switch over to concert instruments, you play that wooden one, you put the plastic one away, and then that one will last longer, so it's not exposed to so many things. So that was the clarinet question. Can you talk? This is a question that says, can you please talk about transportation, school bus, etc.? Is this transportation to games? I'm assuming transportation to games.
Who asked that question? Marcelo Elgueta. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what the question is asking, but yeah, when we travel, 99.9% of the time we're traveling on school buses. Every now and then we would travel on a charter bus, but typically for your average football game or marching contest, we're getting on school buses and traveling to that performance. Typically it's 5 or 6 buses because of the size of the band. And we all travel together, and that's how we get from point A to point B. If you're asking about would you be required to transport your students, no. That your responsibility would be to get them to the band hall and at whatever the reporting time is for that event, and we would get them wherever we're going via school bus.
All right, our next question is: flip books will be needed, correct?
I'm assuming you're talking about flip folders for their music, like that we play in the stands. If that is the question that you're asking, Christy, the answer is yes, but we provide those. The school provides those flip folders for the students.
Okay, we have some people that are returning members that didn't get their water jug holder from this last year. We probably have those on reserve somewhere, and we can get those out to your students. So if you're not the only one, that means we must have them somewhere. So yeah.
I'm gonna put the Melissa Stearman's email address in there because she will probably know the answer to that question. I'm just gonna put that in the chat. Hey, there's Melissa Stearman right there.
The water jug holders are finally being back in production. Working with the vendor, will order them for the current freshmen. Awesome.
Excellent.
Sweet. Okay. I requested a transfer for my student, but we are still waiting on the district response. If they haven't answered by the band registration due date, can my student still register after that date?
Yes.
Yes. Good question.
Yes, they can. Yeah. If you. Mrs. Bassett, if you'll just email me and let me know so I know what's going on, the specifics of your situation and that transfer request, I'd love to know more about that. But yes, you can still transfer after that.
Okay, and then I think this is a follow-up to the transportation question. So I have to get my student at CT and will be picked up at the same place after. Yes, yeah, that's the answer to that question. Is whenever we're done with an event like a football game, we'll bring them back, and then they get picked up at the same place you dropped them off.
Yeah, we'll put out an itinerary for any event that will have the full thing, and part of it will be 8 a.m. like for a marching contest day. It wouldn't be abnormal for us to say, okay, at 9 a.m. You're gonna drop your kid off at the band hall, and here's a bunch of other dates for the rest, or times for the rest of the day, and then 11 p.m. is when we expect to be dismissing. Sometimes those are long days if we have a prelims finals contest and we make finals. But yeah, you'll just drop them off there and we'll tell you when to pick them up.
All right. Are there private lessons?
Yes. Yes. And again, we talked about this just a few moments ago, but if you are interested in private lessons and your student is not already in private lessons, please, you can email us now and let us know, and we will try and see if we can get them connected to a lesson teacher that may be able to start them over the summer, and then they kind of get a head start on the school year.
All right. I think this one means, do you need the dot books? They mark their marching positions on, but it says, do you need? I'm going to assume that means, do you need?
I think she may be actually responding to another comment or question.
Oh, okay.
The flip books question.
Got it. Will we be in the stands next year or in the rented stands?
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that question yet.
Fair. Do you recommend flute players to get a second flute for marching band? I'm going to answer this, and I'm going to say yes, even though I know that can be financially a financial investment. The marching flute does not have to be the same quality. I'm not going to say quality, but the same. It doesn't have to be the one that you would play inside. Like my instrument that 100 years ago when I marched clarinet, my marching clarinet was much cheaper than the one that I played with on the inside. It just needs to be adequate enough to play the music and not hold your child back, but it doesn't have to be the inside quality top of the line that you would do for like a concert instrument, for like the inside band setting. Will we be in uniforms next year? I think you might be muted, Mr. Doyle.
As far as we know, yes. Yeah. Now, this is some exciting information for some of you, those of you who will be here past 1 year. This should be the last year for these uniforms. Our district typically does a 10-year rotation for marching band uniforms, and our school is 9 years old. This coming year should be the last year for this set of uniforms, and we will be getting new uniforms for the 2022 school year.
All right, we've come to the end of the current question, so if anybody else wants to ask one, please feel free to.
I just put, again, the remind information to make sure that you get the General Ranger Regiment remind messages. I'm also going to put the code for the new member remind group in the chat as well. Ooh, great question showing up in the chat right there, Ms. Rivers.
Marching season is always scary for double reed players. Do you have any tips or comments for choosing marching instruments? I'm going to say if you are interested in if you're a double reed player and you're going to do another woodwind instrument, my first piece of advice is we know that you are basically a beginner, and that the expectation is not the same as it would be for people that have been playing since the 6th grade. And I know that it can be hard to go from being an expert or feel like you master one instrument to basically being a beginner on another. But I would ask that you trust that we know what you're going through, and we don't have the same. Our expectation is that you try and you give it your best and that you make improvements, not that you play the same as somebody who has been playing that instrument for since the 6th grade. So that is my biggest tip. Whenever I was in high school, I played clarinet, and then I marched. I'm a clarinet player, and I marched mellophone, and it was so frustrating to me that I felt like I was a good clarinet player, and I understood music and I knew how things worked, but I was a horrible mellophone player when I started. So, and I just really wanted my directors to know, like, I know that I don't sound good right now, but I promise I will be. So anybody that's gone through it knows that there's a little bit of a learning curve. I think lessons will help. I think some study on your own is definitely needed, and even though it might not come as naturally as your primary instrument, know that we know that that the standard is different for you.
We have a piano spot that we really need to fill too. So if anybody has piano experience.
Yeah, that was something that I was going to say in answer to the double reed question. Is some of it depends on your own personal background. If you're an oboe player but you also played piano for 5 years, then percussion is probably going to be a pretty good choice for you. If you're a bassoon player, but you also have taken dance for the last 7 years, then color guard may be a great option for you. So it kind of just depends on your own on your own past background and experiences?
Color guard is a great option for double reed players. There's a pretty awesome oboe player in the guard section. How are conflicts with athletics and band handled? Scheduling conflicts for rehearsals, etc.
Mrs. Meeky, I'm so glad that you asked this question. So the way that those are handled is by the directors and coaches. So one of the things that that we will do, and we're very proud of the fact that we've always done this here at Chisholm Trail High School. We as directors and coaches will talk about those things ahead of time and make sure that students know when we expect them to be at which place. So as an example, if your kid is going to play freshman football, not every rehearsal that we have will conflict with a freshman football practice, but there will come a time where there are conflicts. And so what I will do is I will talk to Coach Bodie, the head football coach here, and we will come up with a conflict schedule, which means that that conflict schedule will say, you know, conflict schedule for people who are in freshman football and band. It'll say Mondays you're going to be at football practice, and Tuesday you're going to be at band practice, and maybe this Wednesday you're going to come to half and half. So we'll work all of that out so that the students don't have to do it. You don't have to do it as a parent. Students are not put in the position where they're trying to, you know, placate their football coach who's mad that they've missed football practice because they were at band, or vice versa.
When we do get new uniforms, will there be a new uniform fee?
No, there will not. That's a great question. So those uniforms, those will be provided by the school district. That is a very, very large investment of money, but that will be provided by the school district. They buy all of that. Now, you know, you as you still have to have items that you wear with the uniform, but there's no, you know, fee for the new uniforms that will be paid by families.
Are there any out-of-town band trips?
That depends on what you mean by out of town. You know, if, for example, if we make the state marching contest, that's an out of town band trip to San Antonio. That would be an overnight trip. So that, you know, that would be an out of town trip. As of right now, and I hope you can understand this for largely for coronavirus reasons, there's very few people who are planning like fun trips right now. That is something that we will be looking at in the future. But you know, there's several band programs who kind of got burned, band programs, choir programs who kind of got burned by having trips scheduled during what turned out to be a pandemic, and not being able to get money back on those trips and that kind of thing. And so with so much uncertainty about that, we've not planned any of those kind of trips for the next year. But we certainly hope to be doing that again in the future.
This is from Ms. Swaim. Do you know what night band practice will be on in the fall?
That's great. Yeah. So for this year, we foresee going back to the schedule that we had in the fall of 2019, which is Monday night and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. So I'll put that in the chat so you guys can all see that. There we go. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 to 8:30 a.m. So that's Monday, 6 to 9 p.m. and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 to 8:30 a.m. So that one evening practice gives us a chance to have one longer practice, and then we have those shorter practices on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. And I will say also, partially in response to Mrs. Meeky's question about scheduling conflicts with athletics, when we switched to that schedule in the fall of 2019, we had the fewest conflicts with athletics that we've ever had due to having that schedule. It just conflicted less with the fall athletic activities.
There was a question that I missed up closer to the top. That's if you are currently an online learner, but would like to audition in person, is that an option?
Oh boy, that might be hard. Why don't you email me your specific situation? That may be hard just for scheduling reasons. and we won't know, I don't think, for sure until we get more into that. But just email me your situation, and I may be able to come up with a better answer for you.
All right, we are at the bottom of the questions currently.
If there are no other questions, let me just close by saying that we are in the business of teaching students. You know, when people ask me what I do, you know, I tell them that I'm a band director, I'm a music teacher. I teach music, I guess. But essentially, what we really are interested in doing is teaching your students. We're in the interest of teaching people. We want to see your child have a great musical experience that helps them grow as a musician and have great musical experiences. But we also want to see them grow as a person. We want to see them develop some grit, the ability to follow through when things are difficult. We want to see them develop some resilience and some perseverance. We want to see them develop really great and strong friendships. I was just talking with one of our bands this last week about how all my best friends from high school are all the people that I was in band with. And we hope the same thing for your kids. I don't think there's a better group of kids for your child to be around on a daily basis than the kids in our band program. They're just outstanding young people, and that's really what we want to see. Is we want to see them grow, and we want to be there to help them to do that. And we care about your kids, and we want to see them be successful. Again, thank you for coming tonight. If you do have any questions that you think of after this is over, please feel free to email me, ddoyle@ems-isd.net. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat again, just in case. And Mr. Miller and Ms. Rivers, I don't know if you guys put that in the chat? I didn't think so. So that's sort of a flaw in our system here. But I'll put their emails in the chat as well. And if you guys have any questions that you think of after this meeting is over, please feel free to let us know. And we appreciate you guys giving some of your evening to be here tonight. And we cannot wait to have your kids in our band program and see them working hard and learning all the great things that we see our kids learning right now in band. So again, thank you for your time and have a great evening.